What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about the top 5 most heavily shorted EV stocks in the market as of right now. So I want to go over all the things you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with stock number 5, you do have Polestar sitting at 96 cents. Over the last 1 year, down 45.35%, and then over the last 1 month, down 13.46%. So definitely losing a lot of traction that it took them a very long time to actually regain, so rather unfortunate. But aside from that, 10.28% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 39.7 million shares overall being shorted. So generally, shorts surprisingly have returned a little bit. So they've been kind of taking advantage of the sell-off and returning. So they went from around, looks like almost 12% short interest to a low of 9.07%. Kind of has gone up a little bit since then, but nonetheless, shorts are still a very big part of Polestar. So on average, I think it does make up for about 35% of the average volume, daily volume. So again, they're a big part of the day. DTC is 9.68 days. So that does really show that shorts are very, very overextended. So DTC, on a side note, does factor in the average volume for Polestar in comparison to number of shares being shorted. And then cost to borrow average is 13.38%. One thing that I generally like to bring up is also this. So it does indicate around 65,000 shares is available to be shorted. Sometimes whenever you see a stock get limited supply, such as Polestar, you could see some buying from big institutions just for the mere purposes of lending out the stock. So Polestar might be seeing some buying, again, for the purposes of lending out some stock. So Polestar is stock number 5. Moving on to stock number 4, you have NIO sitting at 704. Over the last 1 year, up 21.8%. So definitely building up some very good momentum. Over the last 1 month, up 5.2%, and then over the last 6 months, up 66%. So pretty kick-ass. 11.19% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 154.81 million shares overall being shorted. Surprisingly, shorts have returned quite a lot, and so it went from around 15.4% short interest in June to a low of around 9.6%. Recently, they did double up and kind of increased a little bit, but still, this kind of action right here is very, very odd. Now, I've been covering NIO for a very long time, and this type of situation has not happened. Similar to Polestar, not to the same magnitude, but DTC is 1.95 days. So same as Polestar, it does signal that shorts are overextended. Through IBKR does indicate in excess of 10 million, and plus cost to borrow is very cheap, so you won't be seeing any buying from big money just to lend out stock, because there's already more than enough shares and cost to borrow is very cheap, so it's not really advantageous to them. Moving on to the next stock, we have Rivian sitting at 15.59. Over the last 1 year, it is up 39.5%. Then over the last 1 month, up 18.36. So finally, starting to build up some pretty good momentum recently, but still very heavily shorted. So 19.62% of the free float is being shorted. Works to be 155 million shares. Cost to borrow average 0.76. So same as NIO, very low stuff. DTC 3.7, so it does signal that same goes for this, very overextended. Short score is 68.23, and generally from what you can see, shorts have been kind of all over the place, but for the most part, ever since like April, the recent lows in the broader market, shorts have been kind of getting in, but it does show that they are very active, very, very active. So you could pretty much see almost 3% swings every almost 2-3 weeks. So they are very active, like I said, but through IBKR does indicate 3.6 million shares is available to be shorted. So most likely you won't be seeing any buying from big players in Rivian's case. Moving on to stock number 2, you have Faraday Future sitting at $1.38. They are getting hit quite hard over the last 1 year. It is down 54.15%, and then over the last 1 month, down 42.26%. So definitely losing a lot of traction recently. 20.03% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 28.13 million shares overall being shorted. DTC 1.6 days. So again, I think that has gone down a little bit only because the volume with Faraday on average is actually creeping up a little bit. So like I said, DTC does take into consideration the average volume in comparison to number of shares being shorted. So the average going higher, you'll have a lower DTC, but still does signal that shorts are overextended. On a side note, short score is 75.1 out of 100. So the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. And then through IBKR does indicate roughly around 1,000 shares is available. Cost to borrow average is about 11%. So you might be seeing some potential buying in the foreseeable future, but this stock definitely is losing a lot of traction. On a side note, I know I didn't bring this up at the beginning, but I'm only including stocks that have a 100 mil market cap or greater. And Faraday, for a while in the past at least, it did have a lower market cap than 100 mil. So it did recently build up some good momentum, but again, it's losing a lot of traction. So who knows, maybe next time you won't be seeing it on this list. And then last but not least, number one is Lucid. No different than last week, or it might have been the week prior when I last did a video, but it is sitting at $23.96. So kicking ass and taking names, not necessarily long term, because over the last 1 year it is still down 32.32%, but over the last 1 month up 10%, and then over the last 5 days up 14 or almost 15%. So it's starting to finally build up some good momentum. 31.9% of the free float is being shorted though. That is just absolutely insane. And I always give a round of applause to any stock moving higher with this level of short interest. So shorts, despite everything, and it's still moving higher, makes up for almost 50% of the daily volume for Lucid. Going forward, maybe I'll include that stats so you guys can actually see it. But yeah, it's a pretty big thing. Aside from that, 40.1 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average has been inching up, so it is sitting at 37.25. DTC 3.1, so again, shorts being overextended. Short score is 84.09%, and then through IBKR does indicate 800,000 shares is available to be shorted. So somewhat limited supply, and just overall from what you can see from this, shorts have been really hell-bent on trying to bring Lucid down. So all-time high short interest is sitting at 33.5 for the most part, just rounding up. So yeah, crazy stuff. Let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Obviously, you can do with this information what you will. I think generally speaking, any stock going through a squeeze, you need a surprise catalyst that catches longs and shorts off guard, really propelling the stock price higher because of that. So again, in these videos, I don't really go over the day-to-day operations, just more so the stock price movement and what shorts are doing. So if they do have a pretty big catalyst coming up, then you might see a little bit of a pop or a potential squeeze. So let me know your thoughts on these stocks. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.